The LAVN Podcast, a collaboration of two folks that you have no idea who. The LAVN Podcast, your keep me company podcast. Stuck on the freeway? The LAVN Podcast. On the way home from the graveyard shift? The LAVN Podcast. Feeling alone and lonely? The LAVN Podcast. The LAVN Podcast with Steven Solo and Joe Phoenix. The LAVN Podcast. Broadcasting worldwide. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everybody. Welcome to the LAVN Podcast. My name is Joe Phoenix.
I am Steven Solo. Welcome.
Welcome.
This is episode 2.
Welcome to episode 2. Yeah, we're
episode 2.
We're it's going to be a little rough because we are still on fine-tuning mode, and we are definitely putting things together. Today, on this episode, you will get, we will put your perspective in a better view, so to speak, and We're going to give you guys a better, quote-unquote, what to expect every week and every single day for the LAVN Podcast. How are you doing, brother?
I'm doing great, man. Quick note, for those, my wife asked, what does LAVN mean? And I explained, it's Los Angeles, Vegas, Nevada. Am I right?
Yeah, it was so it practically is, to give you also a more vivid understanding of it. Well, Joe Phoenix, that's me. I'm broadcasting, every time we do our podcast, we're broadcasting from 2 different locations. We're like 300 miles away from each other. But thanks to awesome technology and, our awesome prowess in production.
Thanks to the magic of technology, we can sound like we are in the same room.
We are practically in the same room virtually.
Exactly. Virtually in the same room.
But so, yeah, we talk to each other. We are on our phones. We are on a video call, which we are going to try to probably figure that out too soon. But yeah, that's the awesomeness of technology that never was available for us during the 90s.
Exactly. That's the irony of the whole thing, We're in this space right now where this is actually the wild, wild west of social media podcasting, social media / podcasting. And real quickly, just to recap from episode 1, a lot of people were kind of like, those who don't know who we are, we talked about our past, okay? And like I was telling Joe before we went live, that the Stephen Lowe that you heard at UR 105, Y101, and Monster Radio is an act. It's not really Stephen Lowe, okay? What you're hearing in the podcast with this and the few other podcasts that I co-host and produce is the actual raunchy, foul-mouthed, cringy guy that you're listening to right now. So I hope I could clear that up. I had a comment actually. I had a comment was like, dude, that doesn't sound like you. I don't think it's you. I'm like, no, it's me. We were held by KBP standards, radio station standards. So I'm kind of like the Bill Burr of radio, kind of like that's what I wanted to pursue is the guy that's always just angry, but I'm not angry.
He's
just
not
sounds
angry,
like it.
okay?
So.
Just for everybody to understand, okay? Because like if you're hearing this on your headphones or probably on your nice speakers out there, Steven Solo might sound angry, but he's not. All right, he's not.
Yeah,
he's not drunk.
I'm a sweetheart.
He's not angry.
I'm a sweetheart.
He's a teddy bear,
Yeah, actually, though, the last podcast, though, we recorded really late. It sounded like I was drunk, but it was like at 4 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, 3 o'clock.
And it was like, 3 o'clock, and I'm just like struggling for words, and I'm just like, oh my gosh, I don't know what I'm saying. And I was almost delirium setting in from episode 1. But good thing, though, we actually, I think that this is a good time to record and put out a podcast is 9 o'clock in the evening, because that's when, all my marbles are not scrambled. The eggs in my head are not, they're still intact.
But this is it's funny that you mentioned if it's a good time to record, because for our case, every time is really a good time to record, because it could be 5 o'clock somewhere out there, right?
Right. A lot of our listeners, a lot of our listeners are our starting listeners are most of them are not from here, you know.
Yeah, and
they're probably our older listeners.
That's true. Talk about our listeners. I just want to give a bit of a shout out for a few of our
good
do
friends, do the whole UR 105 thing. Do the whole UR 105 the shout out. Okay, go ahead.
Because we're gonna do this on the start of our show, because we're not gonna do it in the middle of the show. Maybe we will, maybe we won't, you know. But for now, we're gonna do all the shout outs at the beginning of the show. Our friends at Spark in New Zealand, brother. Spark, the mobile phone. It's one of the bigger companies there. It's probably AT&T there, or something even bigger, maybe T-Mobile.
Good day, mate.
Yeah, good day, mate.
No, I think that's Australian. That's Australian. It's almost like calling a Chinese person a Korean, but you can't do that.
We love you guys. We're not trying to. Yeah, we're not trying to mix it up. But lots of love sent down to Bleza, Nivea, and Isa over at Auckland, and the San Carlos girls, Johanna, Hassel, and Mimi. And we got people in California, Tracy, Sharon, Andrew, and Kino over at Los Angeles. Thank you guys for tuning in. See, brother, I told you it's happening.
It's so nostalgic that you did that, because it really did sound like we are in our, we're at a radio station.
I know, it's amazing, bro. Oh, just one more thing too. We got a dude. I can't find his name, but he's all the way in Berlin. Was actually tuned in to us to the LAVN podcast. Thank you guys. We really, really appreciate the support. It's been amazing. It's been, I don't know, man. Every time I see the comments, it's just been like, wow. I'm like, wow.
So if you want to hear your name being shouted out on the LAVN podcast, just comment on either Facebook, the Facebook account, or the Instagram account. And what else do we have? We have Twitter, right? We have Twitter.
So you guys can follow us all over the place. So the best place for you guys to get a shout out would be our YouTube channel, our Instagram account, our Facebook. But I don't know, people seem to be not using Facebook nowadays for some reason. So
really, I thought that's where the biggest following that I saw was. Is it Facebook or is it Instagram?
I think Instagram. Yeah, most of the stuff that I saw on the comment was in Instagram.
Huh.
Yeah, interesting, right? Yeah, I don't know. That was a jinx. So there's that, and what else? We're in TikTok. We're in but we're gonna try to upload as much as we can and holler back to you guys over there. So
all right,
yeah, thank you. What about you, Steven Solo? You got friends to say hi to?
Well, just I don't have anybody in particular. I gave this is going to be an everyday Joe segment thing, Joe Phoenix segment, where he gets to read the shout outs. So I wanted to leave all the honors to you and make sure you got that out of the way. But look, usually we're supposed to put out an episode last night, a short one, and for our listeners, why don't you explain the program flow?
Yeah,
Mr. Brother Joe.
So every week, this is what's going to happen, guys. You might want to take your Benny voice notes and could you imagine that? We're telling them to get their voice notes up and ready.
Yeah.
So every Monday, so it's Monday sports. So we're going to talk about sports, the latest one, the old ones, whatever falls in that category. Tech Tuesdays. So every Tuesday, if there's anything new in the tech, in the phones and mute. I mean, the computer world, the car
cameras,
world, the cameras and everything. We are gonna tackle that too. Life Wednesdays, one of my favorite days actually. So we just talk about life, give you our 2 cents on everything. And this is actually nice because this is one of those days that we ask you guys to tell us what's been going on with your life, and if there's some ways we could somehow tackle your journey to where you are now. Again, we'll try to give you our 2 cents and give you our maybe how we would possibly muscle through your life situation. And,
right. Also, relationship advice. So if you
a lot of those,
if you're going through, Yeah, because if you're going through anything in particular and you need advice on certain things, you could email us at
LAVN. It's LAVN podcast at gmail.com. So feel free. It's LAVN podcast, one word, at gmail.com. So anything
Go ahead. So Wednesday is dedicated towards the listener. This is that day is dedicated all for you guys. So anything in particular, like, you're going through a long distance relationship, or or you're in a love triangle, all that old, cringy stuff that we used to talk about in our UR days, where Rick Orion had the talk show and the tea for the night. All of that stuff. Well, Wednesday is going to be dedicated for that. That particular day is dedicated towards you guys. So, just a big heads up.
Yep.
Right.
And Thursdays are, what are Thursdays, Steven?
I thought you were writing it down.
I did. I'm trying to look for a note. Hey, Thursdays are Lifestyle Thursdays. There you go. See, I got it down. Lifestyle Thursday.
Okay,
we're gonna talk about everybody in the show business, in the music industry. What's a good movie to watch on a date, because it's coming in, to that weekend. So we are gonna be here to hopefully prepare you guys and give you, again, the good, honest advice on what movies to watch on a date, stuff like that. Anything that has to do with, lifestyle.
Movie reviews,
definitely.
Trends.
Yeah. Trends and stuff like that.
Right. Like Kardashian news.
Yeah.
Like Instagram model news and stuff.
Any of those, that's gonna be the day for you guys. And then on the Friday, it's gonna be like it's the wrap up Friday. So we're gonna just check back into what has happened the past days, from Monday to Thursday, and probably what's going on that Friday, if there's something special, or it doesn't have to be anything special. Even if it's just something to talk about, then we can definitely squeeze that in on Friday.
Right.
We're going to wrap Friday's it up like a burrito. It's going to be
a burrito.
A marriage of all the news and information that you can digest. If you're that kind of listener that you just want to listen to us like once a week, the Friday wrap up is definitely going to be your episode.
Yeah, it's the longer episode, the mother episode.
Yeah, it's going to be the mother episode. Alrighty then.
So we're in Las Vegas, and you are in Hesperia, California, right?
Yes, sir.
Las Vegas just recently acquired the Raiders for 2020.
That was
for those of you. Mm-hmm. Go ahead.
I was gonna say that was one of the biggest news that ever happened. The past actually this year. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So what this means for Las Vegas is that we're actually graduating from a baby city into an actual metropolis. This city, for those of you that are uninitiated, that don't know, is the economy is based around gambling and entertainment. There's nothing else that fuels the city. Nothing. So with the Golden Knights coming in, the Golden Knights came in with the Raiders coming in. This is going to explode the city into an actual metropolis for all of you football fans. Am I happy about the Raiders? No, I'm not a Raiders fan. I feel like this is my rant though. Why couldn't we get why couldn't we get the Broncos? For crying out loud. This is going to be a city full of vato locos. And this is my rant. I love all of my friends are vato locos, okay? But if the Raiders are coming, well, I'm going to support them. I'm going to wear the black and silver jersey. I'm going to support our team. It's civic rivalry. You got to represent where you're from.
Yes,
so
sir.
You being in Hesperia, are you a Rams fan? Are you like who's your go-to team? Is it because you're originally from Chicago, Joe?
Yeah, that's
right?
I would say that's the hard part of moving from state to state, because when I go out, I still wear the Bears cap. I still wear my Cubs cap, and everybody gives me hate for it.
Oh man,
they give me the look.
Yeah.
It's if they want to like just make me into a taco and chop me up and serve me to the folks.
They want to make you into a burrito.
Yeah,
they want to
so
like a chihuahua.
But okay, since the Rams have been actually since the new coach of the Rams came in, I've been loving the Rams, bro. I've been it's I don't know. I like it. I like the Rams right now. I mean,
the Rams.
I've always been okay. This is the maybe because when I was still in the Philippines in high school, my friend always had the Raiders cap and the Raiders gear.
Oh yeah, let me guess.
But
let me guess. He was a hip hopper,
Yeah,
exactly. Remember when we were growing up, you were either considered a rocker or a hip hopper. There was no in between.
That's true. That's so true.
If you had a Raiders cap, you were a hip hopper, and if you had skinny acid wash jeans and long hair, you were part of the rockers.
That's true.
And they always clashed. They always, there was always these huge gang fights or rumbles in like Ayala or SM between the hip hoppers and the rockers, and it doesn't make any sense because they're just two genres of music, and they're fighting like they're fighting for land, like ravaged animals. It's the weirdest. Shit, man.
The sad part about it is like it becomes sometimes a very senseless fight that it's like, why were you fighting again? Because he likes hip hop.
Because he had baggy jeans. Dako yung calzones. Mauna nagkuhan. I mean, because what I remember when when back in the day, and we're not going to talk about this a lot because my wife's like, oh, I didn't know about that. So we're not going to talk about it. But I grew up here, and then when I went home to go to college, I played a lot of rap music. So I found out that a lot of the
Did you say you played a lot of rap music?
Well, hip hop. Well, no, that wasn't part of our format, but I wanted to.
I was joking, Steve. I said, did you play a lot of rat, R-A-T music?
Oh, I didn't know that there was a genre called rat music.
I'm sorry, man.
But okay, say for example, this is where I'm getting at though. Say for example, you and I and Mac or Rick or Sandy Storm, we all weren't talking. We couldn't talk. Let's say the mic broke. Your listener will be able to determine who's on board based on the music you play.
That's so
on
true,
the playlist.
Man. That is so
they
true.
They could tell.
I know.
My obvious choice was I would play all of the rap music, all of the hip hop music, and then like a rock song every now and then. And then, I would circulate the playlist. And then sometimes I'd get irritated because our playlist would be so small, and I'd actually recycle the rap song because that's what I want to hear. But yeah. So interesting. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Go ahead. That's actually true. That's if it was depending on who the personality was on during that time, you even without their plugs saying who was on board, you kind of would get a good idea of who was on board on the radio station. Actually with UR 105 with Monster, when I went to Monster, you were at Monster too.
Yeah. And with Y101 it was different, but with UR 105 your time slot was your personality, the type of music you played and stuff like that. So it's just something how it was back in the day where music dictated the trend, and you had your hip hoppers and you had your rockers, and there was no in between, and that's how it was. Your style was grunge, or your style was sagging your pants all the way down to your knees and shit like that.
You need to go to the bathroom like anytime.
Like
soon,
you need to go, or like you shit in your pants. That's what it basically looked. But I'm a victim to it. I sag my pants too.
So going back to what we were talking about, just for everybody to know who probably just started getting into football, the Raiders are one of the I would say one of the vagabonds of football because they've been trying to find a home for like the longest time. Did you guys know that they were previously here in California?
Yeah, they were.
They were called the Oakland Raiders.
Yeah, no, yeah. I was gonna say they're Oakland. Oakland. Their last game in Oakland they just finished it up. I think. Well, oh wait, did I? I got to fact check. I don't want to sound like an idiot, but then the next few games. Yeah, but I think the next few games they play away games.
Yeah.
I haven't really been following, the Raiders because I'm not really a Raiders fan. My civic rivalry lies with the Philadelphia Eagles or the Atlanta Falcons.
Got it. So, there's a few facts that I actually know that it started 1960. We're trying to give you guys the details of this one. 1960 to 1981, they were the Oakland Raiders. This is the history. And then 82 to 94, they became the LA Raiders. So they were actually a Los Angeles Raiders team. They were Los Angeles team. Together with the Rams, was it?
No, the Rams were in St. Louis. The Rams at one point were at St. Louis. So I think it was at that point where the Rams were, when they were in St. Louis, that the Raiders were in Los Angeles.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think you're right.
Something like that. I got a fact checked, and for all you guys out
95 to 2019, which is right now. So they went back to Oakland, and 2020 next year in a few days, they're gonna be Las Vegas Raiders. That's gonna be crazy, bro. I just I had a chance to actually see the construction of the football. Oh my god!
Stadium.
Yeah, the stadium. I mean, the stadium. Seeing when you get into Vegas and seeing that Raiders logo, it's so unreal, man.
And then the stadium is actually black. It matches all the colors for the Raiders. Yeah. So, this city is really super on board with it. They're so excited, and Las Vegas, we are. This is already a sporting town because boxing is huge in MGM, and then UFC. Dana White lives in Vegas, so all the major huge pay-per-view events happen here in Vegas.
Yeah.
So Mayweather lives here. It's almost like a small Los Angeles, but Las Vegas is ridiculously small. You could travel from one end of the city to the other in about 45 minutes. So and that's why it's so small. But the estimated growth because of the Raiders is said to increase by, significantly.
That's going to be crazy, man. And I think it's going to be good for the economy too. Hopefully, it's going to be good for, for everybody working in Vegas. Maybe the pay's going to be better. A lot of things. Hopefully, it's gonna just make the economy better.
Right.
For the Raiders coming in. I mean, it's already. I'm pretty sure there's a significant change. I mean, you've been there for a while. What have you felt the change? Since UFC even became a staple in Las Vegas.
Yeah. No. When we moved here. We moved here from Atlanta, Georgia. It pretty much always was UFC. It was always a combat sports city. There were no team sports, and for the most part, I would say the populace is right now. The growth of the city is about 50% Las Vegas natives, and you have the rest of the population. It's a huge amount of people that moved to this town, and which is causing the growth. It's causing so much stuff to go around. And you know what? I this is a fear that I had, and for all my friends who are Raiders fans, look, I apologize. This is just my thought process. I don't know what you want me to say, but I kind of feel like with the Raiders, they might bring in that crowd, that roughneck crowd, and there's nothing wrong with it. Look, I don't mind it at all, but you kind of got to watch yourself around certain fans out there, because the the Raiders, they have a very violent fan base. I don't know if you heard that, stereotype.
Yeah,
of the Raiders.
I've seen the videos, bro.
Yeah,
I mean, I think it's a that would be like a general, concept of football fans. They're pretty rowdy, but the Raiders are really quite
They're gangsters.
They're gonna be like, they're gonna be like in your face, man.
Dude, they're so gangster, man. There's this group right now called Los Villanos. In Spanish, that means the villains. So they're the Raiders. They're the official Raiders fan club. And bro, I know one guy from it. And he's a cool guy. But when you like, he's like, hey, come on down and visit whenever the Raiders play, and they watch at this local bar. And these dudes are so thugged out, man. Like you kind of feel. You almost feel like a beta male around them. There's just so much testosterone around, like, you know, like when something goes wrong, they're just like, oh, you know, fuck shit, bro. You know, they're speaking in Spanish and it's just intimidating. You know, I'm not a beta male, but I'm just saying it's like, you know, Los Villanos, which means villains, actually, because, you know, the Raiders, their logo is a pirate. Yeah. So you have to act that role. And my fear was that with the Raiders, every time they come and play a game, you're going to get this whole Oakland and Los Angeles fan base that are all thugged out and hardcore. And I kind of have this feeling that crime might rise whenever the Raiders are playing. I don't know. Look, that's just my theory. You know, you can nail me to the fucking ground. I don't know. I'm just thinking that.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting, man. Like, I mean, as of this podcast, the stadium, the Raiders Stadium, the soon-to-be Raiders Stadium is being constructed in Las Vegas, and it's going to be a very interesting time once that's complete and everything is going to be all set. And in parallel to that, in part to the whole construction, the new Rams Stadium is also being constructed right now in Inglewood, here in California, which is also such a beautiful thing to see. It's a work of art. So yeah, there's a it's kind of very timely with you know, this beautiful show that we've created. So, right. Yeah. It's going to be an interesting next couple of years.
Yeah, I mean, to wrap things up, you know, it's going to be an exciting year for Las Vegas, sports wise, and the growth of the city. So, you know, it's actually exciting to be here. You know, it's an exciting time to be living in Las Vegas. That's all I'm going to say.
That's true. That's true. If you're a big football fan and if you're a big Raiders fan, well, it's a great time to go to Vegas. Just enjoy your time. If you're somewhere close by, any of the states close by, you drive your way to Vegas, watch the game. You know, maybe you know, go play
gambling,
poker, gamble a little. Yeah, and then just you know, have a grand time in the Strip, maybe.
Exactly. Yeah, you can't go wrong, man.
Can't go wrong, bro. So yeah, that's what we have for Sports Monday. It's the Oakland Raiders again, coming into Las Vegas. It's old news, but well, to all our friends who probably are, you know, in their man caves and not wanting to listen to anything else, and they discovered the LAVN podcast and they want to be informed, well, this is definitely going to be the podcast that you want to keep on your phone, on your computers, and in everywhere you well, in any gadget that you have, as long as you have internet.
Right. All right, cool, man.
All righty.
Good times,
It's
man.
us. Good times. Here for now. Talk to you later.
Peace.
The LAVN Podcast, a collaboration of two folks that you have no idea who. The LAVN Podcast, your Keep Me Company podcast. Stuck on the freeway? The LAVN Podcast. On the way home from the graveyard shift? The LAVN Podcast. Feeling alone and lonely? The LAVN Podcast. The LAVN Podcast with Steven Solo and Joe Phoenix. The LAVN Podcast. Broadcasting worldwide.